So, Shannon, tell me the biggest reason the Lakers went on their run last night.
Skip, I've never seen a game like this. I don't know if I've ever seen a game like this. The Lakers are down 13. KCP hit 2 threes, cut it to 7. Miami calls a timeout. From that point to 6 minutes left in the third, the Lakers go on a 75-30 run. Skip, that's unheard of.
Yep.
And it happened because KCP hit those threes. They got scared, and so now they got to space the floor. So now you got to lead one-on-one with AD. AD goes to work. In that run, from that 70-35 run, AD was 23-5-5. LeBron was 12-8-5. Skip, since the restart of the bubble, there were 22 teams re-invited to the bubble. The Lakers were the 21st three-point shooting team of all those teams.
33.6%.
Skip, so it just goes to show you. If they just, I'm not saying they're going to go 6 or 7 in the second quarter or something like that, like they went with 11 of the first 17. Well, if they hit 11 or 17, it's over. The Heat won't win another game, and they won't even get close to them winning a game. But if they can just be decent, if they can shoot 35% from the three, 36% from the three, it's over because they have no answer for AD. Bam, even if Bam come back, how he's going to be limited. You know, Dragic's probably not coming back with that tear in his foot, Skip. And they got no answer for LeBron. So what you going to put on AD? You going to put Jay Crowder? You want Kelly Olynyk to try to guard him? You going to put Iggy? What you do with LeBron? LeBron just put him in the pick and roll. He put Tyler Hero in the pick and roll, Skip. Whoever Tyler Hero was guarding, LeBron said, come here. He was minus 35 in 30 minutes. The difference is, Skip, the Lakers don't have great shooters. If they can just hit a few shots. Danny Green hit a few early, Skip. Scared them. So now what do they got to do? They got to hug up on him. KCP hit a few. They got to hug up on him. So now LeBron gets an opportunity to come downhill. AD gets an opportunity to work one-on-one. And they had it going last night. Like I said, I've never saw anything like this. And they tightened the screws on them defensively. The Heat are a better shooting team than what we seen last night. But the Lakers were rotating unbelievable. It didn't start out that way. I'm like, do y'all know these guys can shoot? They here for a reason. It's not an accident. Skip, you don't accidentally win 12 games in a month and a half. You don't accidentally do that. So they're there for a reason. And then once the Lakers like, oh, y'all came in, y'all trying to beat us for real, huh? I can't let Skip Bayless have something to talk about your guy, your GOAT. They turned that heat up on him, Skip. They was slow cooking them. And then they went on that, turned them afterburners on. They got no answers, Skip. They got no answers now. I don't like the way they finished the game because I thought they let Kendrick Nunn get a nice little rhythm. And he was first-team all-rookie, Skip. He can play, but he got COVID, kind of fell out of the rotation. Now he's going to be back in the rotation. I expect the Heat to come back, guns are blazing on Friday night. But, Skip, they got to do something better than this. They got to find an answer for AD and LeBron because if they don't, if Danny Green, KCP, the threes, if they can just hit a few early, that's all they need. Skip, they don't need to go like the Rockets go 25 or 57. They don't need to just hit a few early. So now you can't just pack the paint. It's over. It'll be over.
Okay.
And the Clippers choke. Don't say it. Don't you say what the Clippers would have done to the Lakers. Don't say it, Skip Bayless. Don't you say a word about no Clippers.
The all-time shame is that the Clippers didn't get to the Lakers because we would have gotten to watch the real NBA Finals, Clippers beating Lakers.
Well, they should have put them in the East then.
I hate to say I told you so, but I've been telling you so. This is an epic mismatch. The Heat, unfortunately, got exposed last night. And when they got exposed, I'm talking about just like ripping all their clothes off. Because this was embarrassing. And look, they're just too small. It starts right there.
They are small.
The Lakers' point guard is bigger than the Heat center. Obviously, I'm talking about LeBron at 6'9", 250-ish, to Bam, who's 6'9", 230-ish. And the truth is, as much as I love to watch the Heat play offense, They are a liability on the other end of the floor.
They are.
They have tried to fake it until they make it with this zone. And they tried last night to start in man. And Jimmy Butler mostly took LeBron. And then Jay Crowder, as you mentioned, tried AD for a while. Then they tried everybody on AD. They don't have an answer. Then they reverted back to their zone. And that didn't work either because they're just limited on defense.
Correct.
And Bam got exposed because he wound up with 8 points and 4 rebounds. I realize after 22 minutes, he hurt, whatever. It's weird. He holds his wrist, but they say it's his shoulder,
right?
Which is a little odd to me, but he holds his wrist.
But Skip, what I don't understand, okay, I got a left shoulder injury. Why would I go bang that shoulder into Dwight Howard?
I don't know. He obviously bounced right back from it against Boston.
Right.
So maybe he'll bounce right back. I don't know. It looks like he's in anguish when he's holding his wrist, like he can't go anymore. And last night he did opt out of the game, so he didn't come back in. But before I get to those injuries, I want to make the point. Those injuries all occurred after the damage was done. It wasn't like, oh, they lost because they got hurt.
Well, Dragic kind of got hurt in the first quarter, though, Skip, but I don't know if he could have stopped that bleeding.
I don't know. But here's the point. The Heat have to make their shots. And if they make their shots and keep on making their shots for 4 quarters, yeah, you can have some problems.
Right.
Because they literally have to outscore you. Boston got whatever it wanted on offense.
Yes.
Boston's shots just didn't fall enough. So last night, to your point, it starts out with the Heat moving the ball, picking and rolling and cutting and getting their open looks and making their open looks. And Jimmy Butler had 9 quick early points, and Jay Crowder hit 2 threes. And Bam actually had 6 early points. And all of a sudden, to your point, it's 23-10 Heat. And Shannon Sharpe, way up there, the hills up in Bel Air, Palatial Estate, is sitting back saying, uh-oh, maybe these guys are for real. They're not for real. It's all a mirage, an Orlando mirage, because as LeBron said, we got punched in the mouth and we said, oh, we got to get more physical.
Right.
So here they came. And this is what's so weird to me. Playoff Rondo emerged. Once they put Rondo in, things started to click and pop.
Yep.
Because the first shot that gets hit to stop the bleeding was by Rondo. He makes an 18-foot jumper, which he's not known to do.
No.
But he makes it, if we could see that, and it leads to the 2 KCP shots were the shots of the game. So Rondo first. Here's Rondo, and they're in big trouble, and he shoots a little step back, fall away, and makes it. I'm like, what? And then here comes KCP, and kicking it to KCP, and this is a rainbow swish.
Yes.
And I thought, ooh, that cut it down to 10. And here he comes back to back with another one that cut it to 7, and all of a sudden it's back to a game. It felt like, the Heat are going to pull away.
Right.
And those 3 shots put them back in the game. So here's the point for those out there in viewerland to absorb. It's 23-10 Heat. And guess what the run is that the Lakers go on from there? You ready for this? They go on a 77-32, 77-32 run. Let that sink into your brain. 77-32, that's 45 points. They beat them over that stretch by 45. As you know, in an NBA game, certainly, I'm talking about a regular season game, it's hard to beat somebody by 45 over a stretch.
Right.
Okay, so what started happening to your Lakers? They started raining 3-point shots.
Yes.
And to your point, they're not a very good 3-point shooting team. At least they haven't been until lately. And here's the point. They made 11 in the first half, but Shannon, they made the 11. The 11th fell with 3:36 left in the first half. They were already up to 11. Danny Green bombed another 3, which he is highly capable of doing in the finals.
The one off the steal.
Yeah. and that meant they had 11 threes in not even 2 quarters, because there's still 3:36 left in the half.
Yes.
Well, I tweeted about this. If you told me on Undisputed yesterday that the Lakers were going to make 11 threes for the game, I'd say, they're going to win big. They made 11 with 3:36 left in the first half. Well, what do you think's happening?
Yeah,
nothing good for the Heat.
Well, we saw this with the Nuggets also, Skip. Remember, they went in the third quarter. They got hot and they blow you up. Because, Skip, if they make those threes, what are you going to do with AD? You got to double him because you're too small.
Yep.
How do you stop LeBron from getting to the hole without clogging the paint if you got to worry about those guys raining threes on you?
And remember, the 15 total threes were the most any Laker team has ever made in a playoff game.
The most ever.
Okay, that's the most they've ever made in a finals game.
In a final game,
in a finals game. And yet, 11 of those came with 3:36 left in the first half. And here's the other killer. LeBron's first trip to a ring, 2012, we had 3 big games from 3 sort of unlikely contributors because we had a Shane Battier game, game 2. Then we had a Mario Chalmers huge game. I can't remember what it was. 4, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was
4.
the first game back in Miami. Yeah,
well, I think it was the
second game back in Miami.
And then the closeout game 5 was Mike Miller, 7 threes. This wasn't the case last night.
No.
Check this out. In the first half, those 11 threes, they were made by 8 different Lakers.
Yeah.
How is that possible? That means everybody on the floor almost contributed. 8 people made threes in the first half, and they all came with 3:30, down to the 3:36 mark left in the second quarter. Well, that's, you know what? That's just too good. So can you chalk it up as, oh, they just had a hot stretch? No, it didn't feel like that because Anthony Davis looked like Wilt Chamberlain. He scored 7 of his 11 baskets point blank at the rim in the restricted area.
Correct.
Okay, if you're going to be able to do that, it's no fair.
Right.
It's going to get out of hand quickly because it's too easy. Too many easy dunks, too many easy layups. I'm sorry, no good. So now we look at the injuries. And Jimmy Butler looked like he was the worst hurt when he turned his ankle completely over. I thought he was ball game on that one, but he came back.
Right.
So is he going to be swollen and a little gimpy? Maybe. And you got to turn around in 48 hours.
Right.
And the only weird thing about the Dragic injury is you've dealt with these. It's a soft tissue, and they said he tore his plantar, which goes across the bottom of your foot. And usually you need an MRI, and I don't know if they can get one quick enough during the game in the locker room.
Right.
But it's soft tissue because obviously if you get an X-ray, you only see the bones.
Right.
So how did they know it was a torn plantar? Unless it's just by hands-on examination.
Right.
Maybe it is. Usually you get plantar fasciitis, which is just...
He must have been dealing with that, Skip, earlier.
Maybe.
But when he looked back, I thought he tore his Achilles because that's what you see a lot of guys do, Skip. He looked back like somebody... Did somebody kick me or something? Did I stumble? And then next thing I know,
I don't think he stepped on Rondo's foot.
Because that's what at first I think he thought that. But then he looked back like somebody had tripped him.
Okay.
And then,
okay, so to your point, Bam looks like he'll shake it off and come back, maybe. I don't know how much he can come back against AD.
But Bam is their best defender.
Okay,
he's not an answer for AD.
He's no answer, which brings us to Kendrick Nunn. The only reason there was any respectability in this game was Kendrick Nunn came in the second half and scored 18 points, and he scored 14 just in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Well, that made it kind of look okay, much better than it was going to look.
Yeah.
Okay, he started 67 games during the regular season before COVID hit. Right. Okay. Dragic came off the bench, only started 3 games in the regular season. So once Dragic starting in the playoffs, they took off and won their 12 games with Kendrick coming off the bench and playing very little.
You keep it rolling.
Okay. So can he keep it rolling? Can you go back to the regular season heat and try to get back, climb back in?
I think you have to, Skip, but the thing is that the Lakers in the scouting report, they're not looking at him because of how few minutes he actually played. So now they will pay attention to him. It's kind of like a quarterback coming off the bench, Skip. You ain't put it in your game plan. Kind of like the first game of the season. Kansas City had no idea Justin Herbert's going to play. They set their whole defense. We got to deal with Tyrod Taylor. He has legs. This is what he can do. This is what he can't do. And all of a sudden, you're like, what the hell is Tyrod? Well, Tyrod's not playing. Herbert's playing. Well, you set your defense to stop Dragic. Now you get Nunn. So now Frank Vogel now is going to have to set his defense to deal with Nunn. Nunn, he played well, Skip. I just don't like guys getting rhythm.
Yep.
got a little rhythm, they're going to have to shut that down.
Just remember, he's 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he was undrafted.
Right.
Just for the record.
Yes.
So I'm not. He's not a world beater, life changer.
Well, you better. Well, what they need, Skip. They need those guys to grow a little more.
All right.
Because you got AD and you got LeBron. Somebody's going to have to deal with that.
They also need Tyler Hero to grow up more. He's 20 years of age. I got to tell you, against Boston, and I watched those games very closely, they went as he went.
Yeah.
He saved them twice against Boston,
Yes.
games they should have lost, especially in Game 7. They were in trouble because Boston started to heat up, and then he out-heated them.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened last night in the first quarter, when they tumbled later in the first quarter, he went 0 for 3 from 3 down the stretch of the first quarter. That's when they lost the lead. And then for the first half, he was 3 for 9. And guess what he was, plus minus? A minus 30 in the first half.
That's absurd.
Okay, well, that's your guy. That's your difference maker. That's the guy who comes in and changes the flow, changes the momentum, stems the tide. And he couldn't do it last night. And I hate to say this, but they need the 20-year-old, if they're going to have any chance in Game 2, he's going to have another one of those 30 or 40-point salvos.
And then you get Duncan Robinson. Skip, he's a guy that comes in and hit threes.
Just don't let him get the shot up.
Right. But if he doesn't make any threes, he's a liability defensively.
Yep.
Tyler Hero is a liability
Can
defensively.
be.
So if they're not making shots, they're of no use to you on the court.
I agree, which is why the Heat just have to outscore their opponent.
But
and
it's gonna be
it
hard.
worked in the Eastern Conference playoffs because they could outscore an Indiana or even a Milwaukee, who I think is flawed and overrated. And Boston just didn't shoot the ball well enough.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. Outscore you. Jay Crowder is not taking anybody off the bounce. Duncan Robinson is not taking anybody off the bounce. Iggy's not. Solomon Hill's not. So, I mean, where are you going to – if you're not making –
There's one guy.
You guys,
It's the 20-year-old. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, well, Jimmy can take you off the bounce.
And Jimmy
Tyler
can.
Hero can. But for the most part, Skip, those guys are special. They spot up. Jay Crowder's looking to spot up in the corner. Duncan Robinson is looking to spot up or come off picks.
Sure.
That's what he's used to doing. Iggy every now and then. Do you expect to see another game like Iggy had in Game 7 against Boston, where he goes 5 for 5?
4 for 4.
And 4 for 4 for 3? No.
No. I agree.
Iggy was minus 25, Skip. And he was out there 25 minutes. You better find an answer. You better find an answer for those bigs. Because if the Lakers can hit, Skip, if they hit 10 threes a game, it's over. They got in trouble, Skip. Remember, they was going 5 of 35. They were going 4 of 37 from the three-point line. Well, if they shoot that bad, you got a chance. They go 10 of 30. With AD playing the way he's playing, it's over.
So, Shannon Sharpe, yesterday you tried to convince me that Michael Jordan never really beat anybody in the NBA Finals. This team is much worse than any team Jordan ever beat in the NBA Finals.
Okay, Skip. I will concede
Case
that.
closed.
They are a very unlikely finalist opponent.
Which is why they were 75-1 before the season started to get to the finals.
So what? So you think the Lakers going to sweep?
I just want to congratulate LeBron James on his 4th ring, but I've been doing that for 2 weeks because I could see the handwriting on the bubble wall.
No, what you saw on the wall when the Clippers went up 3-1 is that you saw the Clippers playing the Lakers, and then you had to get up there and get your cleaning supplies and erase that.
I did. I would like to announce the Clippers lost to the Nuggets, and I was wrong. Thank you very much. I haven't said that before on the show.
Yeah, you haven't.
Yeah.
I think we're up to like 10 times.
Yeah.
If you've said it, just to make sure it's been said. All right. Well, I'm glad that Shannon is business appropriate today.
You see this kid?
Jumping ahead too much.
Oh, Wall Street Walt over here. I'm just calling it. Hey, come out here just playing great.
Okay. Interesting. Well, if this happens, Shannon, is LeBron 3 wins away from becoming the undisputed GOAT? What will you wear?
Undisputed.
Undisputed?
We debate next.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.